else there like you? And who else would give their life for me? Even suffering in my place. And who could repay you? All of creation looks to you, and you provide for all you have made. So I'm lifting up my hands, lifting up my voice, lifting up your name, and in your grace I rest. For your love has come to me and set me free, and I'm trusting in your will, trusting in your cross, trusting in your blood. I know your faithfulness, for your power at work in me is changing me.
Morning, everyone. It's great to see you. Welcome to the Grace Mother's Day online service. It's a little bit different today. I'm Leslie,
I'm Candy.
I'm Anne. I'm Pearl.
and we're 4 mums who have mostly adult children who live a distance away. So this is our second lockdown Mother's Day. I don't know if anybody's got anything planned for it, or it's been planned for you.
Yes, actually, because our daughter lives not too far now, and you're allowed to meet with her if you've got a baby under 1. So yes, we will be seeing our grandchild.
Oh,
The one we can see and one we can't, because the other one's too far away.
oh. What about you, Anne? What are you up to?
Well, I'm not sure, but I've got 3 of our children. We have 4 children living with us at the moment. 2 are in uni, so haven't gone back, and one got married last year, so he and his wife are living next door. So yeah, who knows?
Oh, lovely. Who knows what's going to happen today? What about you, Pearl? I guess like me, the kids are so far away, aren't they?
Yes, I'm just a lockdown mum.
Lockdown mum, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So we're going to be hearing from 2 young mums in Grace, Gemma and Lowry. I interviewed them earlier in the week, and we were just talking about the highs and lows of motherhood. And I don't know if you can remember back, what did you think was probably the hardest thing about being a mom?
I think
When you can't stop them crying. When you went through everything you could think of and they were still crying. And it really just gets you, doesn't it? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having 4 children, that what I think of is just always feeling really exhausted, tiredness, getting up in the night to feed them, and that was challenging. And also with 4, I think trying to give them the attention that they needed individually, because they all needed something different. And yeah, that was the challenge.
Yes, I know. And it was always hard, I always found it, I felt like I was always lacking as a mum. There was always something I could have done better. And I always used to find that quite hard, but it made such a difference bringing up children, sort of being a Christian and knowing that I could lean on God, and the times that he gave me wisdom with them when I really needed it. And it was the absolute right thing. So let's just hear from Gemma and Lowry, what they have to say. Gemma, it's good to see you, particularly on Mother's Day, and you are a young mum.
Yes.
And I do remember myself what that was like. Obviously it was some time ago, but tell us a little bit about you. Where do you come from?
Okay, so I'm married to Luke. I've got 3 children, and I was originally in Helsham and moved to Pembrokeshire in 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's a big move with a family, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's huge. It was absolutely huge. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're settled now?
Yeah, I mean, lockdown hasn't helped,
No.
but we felt very welcome and very loved, and God's providing what we need.
Yeah, that's great. So we're going to be talking about the struggles and joys of motherhood, and we've only got a few minutes, so just briefly, what would you say has been your biggest struggle with motherhood? I know this year has been particularly.
I think patience, actually. I'm not a patient person. And grace, I'm having to learn a lot about grace because they're driving me insane. Having all 3 kids at home, I love them. I love you kids, but all 3 kids at home without a set routine is a lot.
Yes, I can imagine.
It's a lot.
What is it that helps you to keep going?
My evenings. Yes, I never in bed. No. I think I just love them so much that you want the best for your children.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, this day's been bad, let's make a good day of this one, and then you have a good day, and then you cling on to the good day.
Yes, yeah. But it is a sacrifice, isn't it?
It is a sacrifice, but it's one so worth doing.
Yes, yeah. What would you say is the biggest joy of motherhood?
Oh, just seeing the developmental stages, right from like baby to even when they get to grumpy teens, just seeing them achieve something, or just, you know, Emily was playing a game with Luke the other night and her giggle, and you know, she's nearly 15, but just still hearing her giggle was just lovely.
It's worth a lot, isn't it?
It is worth a lot.
Yes. Thank you, Gemma.
No
Thank you for
worries.
your time.
Cheers.
Morning, Lowry. It's great to see you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Lowry. I live in Pembrokeshire with my husband Sam, my son Wilfred, and daughter Anwen, and little Pip, and the birds.
And the birds, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fabulous place to live. It's gorgeous, and kids have got lots of space to run around in.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's been helpful in this last year. Tell us a little bit about this last year for you.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a journey for all of us. It's had its ups and its downs. You know, it's in many ways been a time that we'll all treasure looking back. You know, we've made lots of happy memories, had that time together, but that's also been intense at times when we haven't all had our own space. Definitely me as a mum, you know, I do feel like I need my own time, my own space to be a better mum, and I think we all need that. So I think that has been a challenge, along with the juggles of work and teaching as well.
Yes, I'm sure, and I think for most mums feel that they're inadequate and could be a better mother and feel imperfect in some way. And is that something that you feel?
Yeah, for sure. I think you're not prepared for what mum guilt feels like before you become a mum, and then you realise that you often feel guilty for feeling like you failed in some way, and especially when we've had the different challenges this year, when you feel like you haven't done enough or been enough or given them enough. So yeah, those feelings have felt real, and I think it's about being honest with the kids and apologising if I feel like I've, you know, done something wrong, and growing in our relationship together, and knowing that each day is a new day to kind of try again sometimes.
Yes, that's a great way to combat it, isn't it? Yeah, and then the fact is that we are all imperfect anyway.
Absolutely.
We're not perfect people, and it's accepting that, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's great. So what would you say is the best thing about motherhood?
I think it's just the relationship that I get to have with the children. You know, they are my son and daughter, but I feel like we're developing a friendship, you know, especially as they get older, and we can have banter and have jokes and, you know, really get on. And yes, I'm still their mum, and there's boundaries in that, and all that goes with, you know, needing to kind of be the mum for them, but you know, have that relationship that's really special, and knowing that we're making memories together that now at this age they'll be able to remember when they're older. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Lowry, for your time today.
My pleasure.
The growth of relationship.
Yeah.
The what, sorry?
Growth of relationship.
Yeah.
That's the most important, because the relationships are the most important things we have in this world anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And they've both talked about that.
Okay.
You know, and that's yeah, we do stuff, but with our kids and that, and we cope with stuff, but it's the relationship that means the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's always being there. They're mums that are there all the time. I think that's important, to be there for them, whatever stage of life they're at. They know that you're there.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And we're still all in that place, aren't we? All our kids are.
Yes, although our children have grown up, they're still our children, and they can call us and we can call them. And it's a different kind of relationship. Like, they tend to look after you more now. They're ringing, you know, make sure you stay in, make sure you don't do this, make sure you do that. So they're telling us what to do.
In our case, I was moved back in. Katie's on again.
It's always a bit scary.
It's quite a challenge living with a 40-year-old.
A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all.
Let's have a look at the children. We've got a children's montage, children and young people in Grace. They're going to be talking about their mums.
My favourite thing about Mum is having cuddles with her in the morning, but my least favourite thing about her is when she worries a bit too much.
Matthew, do you love Mummy?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah.
The thing I love most about my mum is that she looks after us and cooks us nice food. The thing I love least about my mum is that she makes me do my schoolwork and wake up early.
Caleb, what do you love most about Mummy?
The thing I most love about Mum is the food she makes.
Yeah, what kind of food?
She makes some amazing meatballs.
Yeah.
The thing I love most about my mum is that we do lots of things together. The thing I love least about my mum is when she makes me do the washing up.
Hey Emily, do you love Mummy?
No.
I don't have any more dummies left to bribe you with. You have them all from us. Hey Emily, do you love Mummy? Was that a yes? I think she loves her. That's good.
The thing I love about Mum is when we do baking and reading books with her, and the least favourite thing is when she gets frustrated.
Hey Florian, what do you like about Mummy?
Mummy brushes my hair, and Mummy puts me in bed, and
Do you love Mummy?
I love Mummy.
Okay.
And in 3, 2, 1.
It's always great, isn't it, to hear young children talk about their mums, and I wonder what our kids would say about us. Maybe we don't want to know. Before we go any further, I just want to show you two more Mother's Day cards that are made by Anwyn and who featured in that clip. So well done, Anwyn and Wilf. So, Pearl, would you like to introduce our guest speaker today, please?
Yes. Our speaker today is Dr. Eva Kaminski. Eva is married to Marek and they have two sons, Benji and Noah. They live in Warsaw and we have known Eva for decades. She's a close friend of ours and we are delighted she is speaking with us today.
Thank you, Pearl. Over to you, Eva.
Hello, greetings from Poland, and thank you for inviting me to your church meeting. I feel privileged. I know that we are celebrating motherhood today. As we all know, motherhood is one of the most fascinating and beautiful experiences on earth. And speaking of motherhood, I would like to mention the fact that I have the opportunity to travel the world, and I have noticed that regardless of culture, regardless of language, place on earth, mothers resemble one another tremendously. And everywhere in the world, mothers are mothers. So I have seen Chinese mothers acting, approaching children, even my own children when they needed help, just like Polish mothers do. I have seen Palestinian mothers in Jerusalem behaving just like Polish mothers. Beautiful and amazing phenomenon of motherhood. So I would like to share some of my experience as a mother and some of my reflections on being a mother, and I hope that you will be able to relate to it. So let me begin this part by saying that one of the greatest challenges that I have faced as a mother, or I faced, maybe I should use the past tense because my first son is 24 and the younger one is 18, so they are basically young adults. Anyway, one of the greatest challenges for me as a mother is the awareness that I have not been the best mother. And I do not mean in the objective terms, because it is obvious that I have never been even near to the best possible mother on earth, but I haven't even been the best mother in subjective terms, by which I mean that I have not been the best mother I was capable of being. And honestly speaking, I cannot even say that I did everything I possibly could for my children. There were moments when I chose to pursue my professional activities. I chose to pursue my academic career. I chose to develop my church ministry. So I have always been very active and involved in something that I regarded as truly important to me. At the same time, I'm not trying to say that I neglected my children or abandoned my children, not at all. There were just moments when, first of all, I had difficulty juggling family life, home and ministry and job, and I had to choose. So, for example, there was a time when I chose to focus on finishing my doctoral studies when my younger son was a primary school child struggling with learning disorders. And today I keep asking myself this question, if this particular choice didn't deteriorate my son's condition. So I am not standing in front of you and just saying that we as mothers struggle with orchestrating family life and reconciling it to professional life, because it is obvious that we are. And even if we decided to quit job, it is still a great challenge to juggle all the responsibilities that being a mother and a housewife entail. But I am sharing a more painful aspect of experiencing motherhood. I mean the awareness that I did not satisfy, I did not properly, adequately respond to some of my son's deep needs. And they are both young, decent men, but they have their struggles, challenges, problems, shortages. And I keep asking myself to what extent my son's struggles, problems, flaws are my fault, or to what extent my choices, my action or inaction became the source of some of my son's struggles that they face today. Being a mother is one of the major roles we perform as women, and yet it is so extremely difficult to play this role perfectly well. Do you agree? Part of the reason is the fact that this is not the only role that we perform. The great majority of us have numerous other tasks and missions to complete and roles to play. And also all of us have our own needs and desires and dreams and aspirations and other goals in our lives. And I believe, by the way, it is perfectly okay. But as time passes by, we look back and reflect upon our past choices, past behaviors, past action or inaction, and we remember that there had been different alternatives we could choose from. And we will never know if our circumstances would have changed radically for the better or if they would have changed radically for worse. We don't know. So we are left with this kind of questions and doubts, sometimes even regret. So I don't know about you, but I feel terribly imperfect, sometimes even guilty of some of my past choices with regard to my being a mother. But that is the way we are, I guess, because we are just humans, imperfect, complicated, self-centered beings. That's the way humans are, both women and men. Another aspect I would like to bring to the front is our inability to satisfy all of our children's needs. So on the one hand, our maternal love brings us to the point where we want to give our children everything best we have and meet all of their needs. Because when they are born, they are so completely dependent on us, and we become alert and sensitive to their needs, to the signals that they send us, and we feel 100% responsible for satisfying their needs and willing to meet their basic needs. But as they grow, the older they get, the more complicated it becomes. And it eventually becomes impossible for us to satisfy all of their needs for different reasons. It becomes impossible for us to even notice some of their needs and struggles and problems and longings. So it all becomes more and more complicated and challenging. And yet, it does not mean that we are a failure and our maternal journey has been a failure. Quite the opposite, I believe. It is beautiful and fascinating in its imperfections and in the challenges it brings. Motherhood is like a breathtaking adventure, sometimes because of its beauty, sometimes because of its unpredictability, challenges and problems it brings. But I have come to the place where I cannot even say, God, I did everything I could. Because I am aware of the fact that I could have done more, that I could have given more, that some of my choices were not the best, the most accurate choices I could make. And then I heard a beautiful story that brought relief and hope to me. The story of Mary, my husband's mother, Marysia, that's how we called her. Mary was a very simple, hardworking, very decent and very pious, godly woman. The Bible was the only book she read. She didn't watch TV. She had basically no social life. She had no time and no energy for that. The only place she would go to, except for her work and her garden outside of town to grow vegetables and fruit for her family, so the only place she would go to was her church, Pentecostal church in Słupsk. She would take 4 of her kids, all of her kids, to church always, which was sometimes really hard on them. But she treated church and her religion very seriously. So she managed to build a spiritual foundation in her children's life and a moral spine, and she successfully inculcated biblical values in them. The simple woman who didn't even finish her primary school would keep repeating to them that without God, they are nothing. Marysia had and gave something special, though. Her boundless, infinite, endless love for her children, this spontaneous admiration and deep acceptance, as well as a very deep care for them. She would look after them and raise them in the best way she could, although she could not do much except for meeting their absolutely basic needs and being who she was. And of course, loving them. And as my husband was reflecting on his mother, he said, "My mother never helped me with homework because she didn't know how to do it. My mother never played with me because she worked so much. My mother never bought me toys because we were so poor. She wasn't even able to give me reasonable advice concerning my future. And yet, I remember that it was thanks to my mother that my home was a heaven of safety. I could hide there. My mother loved us and she was my whole world. Beautiful, isn't it? We don't need to be perfect mothers. We don't need to give them everything they need, and it will suffice to be near them and love them. I haven't been the best mother I could be, but there is one thing I know for sure. I have always loved them with all my heart, like crazy, like Mary loved her children. And that is something I am sure of. And that is something my sons have always been sure of, that I love them with all my heart. So there is hope for me and for all of us imperfect, but hopefully good enough mothers. The phenomenon of motherly love brings me to tears. Love covers everything, as the Bible says. It covers the poverty and compensates for the shortages and deficiencies. Love shines and reigns above the matters of secondary importance. And last but not least, imperfect human love, although it is truly powerful, reveals the power of the perfect love of God. All our weaknesses, deficiencies, mistakes, wrong choices, shortages as mothers and fathers create room for the perfect parent in heaven to intervene and to satisfy those needs that we were unable to satisfy. So the best thing we can do for our children is to point at the perfect parent in heaven. So even if I failed in some areas of my children's lives, I know I can point at the one who is the only one to satisfy their hearts and satisfy their souls, and initiate, hopefully, their journey with the perfect one who doesn't only love them with all of his being, but who is love. All the best to all imperfect but good enough mothers. There is hope for every single one of us. Thank you very much. God bless you, and thank you once again.
Lord, we thank you for being with us this day. We thank you for your abiding presence with us every day, in every situation. Whatever we face, Lord, you are with us, and we thank you for that. Lord, even in the highs and lows, you are there. And we just ask that you will be with us as we come to you this morning, and that we will be aware of your presence with us each moment of today, and that you might speak your living word into our lives, that you might speak your comfort and peace and your presence. We ask you these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Webster's Dictionary explanation of the word worship: to honour with extravagant love and extreme submission. God himself requires us to worship him